Alright, so a few days ago, I tweeted out asking the community, and I'll put a screenshot of what I tweeted right here. I tweeted out asking you guys that question about, what were you guys struggling with within, being a aspiring pro player, within Gears of War, stuff like that. Now, my goal with asking you guys this question is to get you guys the answers to maybe help some of you reach that goal of yours of being the next pro player for whatever game, especially Gears of War. Now, for clarity's sake, I'm not going to be able to get into every single question that I was asked, but I'm going to do my best to answer some of the ones that I thought were either more intriguing or that I was asked the most. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into those. Taylor Williams asks, how can I find a team? One of the best ways to do that for at least Gears of War is to go to the Esports Gears Discord. There's a recruiting / free agent section in there. A lot of the top teams will basically use Twitter and the contacts that they have. One of the best bets you have is actually to team with people that you consider friends, people that you enjoy playing with, because often that's going to be pretty much your best bet in terms of having a team that lasts for more than just one event or one tournament. Supremes asks, consistently playing at the highest level I can every day, having my teammates play every scrim like it's their life on the line, playing the game with absolutely no room for mistakes and growing from it. Well, playing at the absolute highest level that you can every day, it's something that you have to train yourself to be able to do. It's about being able to kind of flip a switch in your mind going, okay, this is super important. I need to play like it's super important. For your teammates, making sure that you have teammates that have the same goals as you and understand that your goal is to win, to be the best. When you see that your goals align and are the same, you'll see the same effort from your teammates because everyone's working towards the same thing. And if you ever don't see the same effort, a reminder of, here, guys, here's our goal. Our goal is to be the best. We need to work like it. That will really help change the mood or the work ethic of some players. Lunchbox says, I'd like to see more amateur tournaments throughout the season. Whether small or big, getting amateurs more involved in the tournament scene would be cool. Some don't even know how to get into an event. Maybe an event for free agents that don't have a regular team to play on. Well, you're in luck because there are people like Deluxe who do host amateur tournaments and showcase tournaments or just matches on stream so amateur talent can show what they're worth. But the important part is you have to be active and looking for those. A lot of amateurs are just seeking opportunities to be handed to them when realistically they're not doing as much as they think they are in terms of going out and grabbing those opportunities and making them for them. So I've seen a lot of Deluxe Deluxe host a lot of these amateur showcase nights, and a lot of the same names keep coming back. So, there's a lot of amateurs out there that I see on Twitter, but not in these matches. Why is that? In terms of tournaments, yes, you could cater tournaments to specifically amateurs, but at the same time, that's going to create a bigger skill gap. If an amateur is winning an amateur tournament, that's great for them, but at the same time, if they're only practicing and beating amateurs in a tournament atmosphere, how are they going to be able to ever surpass a pro team? You kind of have to ask yourself that question. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. Ellis Midnight says, recording without equipment, not having money for recording audio, video equipment, and getting people to watch. Over time, I've only have 1 to 2 views. When I work so hard, it makes me feel like I'm not doing good enough and tend to stop recording. Okay, that was loud. I completely get this. When I started doing YouTube videos, my mindset was, who gives a damn? Because frankly, I felt like I'm the coach of a Gears of War team that is doing well, yes, but at the time, coaches in Gears of War weren't really respected to the point that they are now. And even now, it's not the same level as other esports or even traditional sports. So my mindset was, 1, I'm camera shy, and 2, who cares? Who cares about me, what I'm doing, my gameplay? They only care about the players, right? Well, I learned quickly that that was not true and that people will relate to you one way or another. So putting your content out there, being consistent and being reliable about it, as well as just making good stuff. If you would sit down and watch your own content, somebody else will sit down and watch your own content. And slowly your fan base will grow, and that's just kind of the magical miracle of social media, is eventually somebody will see it and recommend it to somebody. So just keep working at it, keep uploading. If you're struggling with the affording equipment, That's unfortunate, but maybe set aside out of a paycheck or your salary or your allowance or whatever the case may be, that's your income, to slowly save up for it. And don't start with the top of the line stuff. For example, you don't need a $200 microphone to stream or to make videos. Start with a snowball or something that's a little $20 to $50 microphone if that's what's in your budget. Dovipone says, getting taken serious and trying to deal with the problems of entitlement in the amateur scene. I'm not looking for tryouts from pros, but ego shouldn't be coming from amateur players, in my opinion. Is this just a problem in the community, or can more be done by the individual, aka me? This is a problem in competition. It's not really a Gears thing. It's not really a community thing. It's not a you thing. It's just how people are in competitive nature. They think they're better than others, or they grow opinions very quickly on the most ridiculous things. So for example, when I worked in League of Legends and I was trying to build a roster, I had players who wouldn't play with other players because of how they performed in one ranked match. Now imagine you queued up for a ranked escalation game and you played against a guy who just had an off game, or who made you mad because they kept killing you. But you just took that as, oh, that guy sucks, and from then on you remembered that name and never would play with them. That's how it is in some communities. So yes, there are egos that are undeserved, and unfortunately that's always going to be a part of human nature as well as our competitive scene. Push past that, because the people who have those egos when they don't deserve it are typically the people you don't want to be playing with long term anyways. So find like-minded people, find people with the right work ethic, find people who have egos that deserve it but are humble in the same situations, who understand that nobody is perfect, that even my team isn't perfect, and that there's always room to grow as a competitor and as a person. Those are the people you want to be teaming with. Rarity says, loyalty amongst the team listening. The Gears community is saturated with temporary teammates. After a loss, they are gone to another team. Yes, this is true, and it happens a lot. It happens in other esports as well, and it happens in traditional sports. I mean, right now, I think there's a huge trade going on with the Cavaliers. A real-world traditional sport reference to a similar situation. In Gears, yes, there is a lot of roster mania, especially once you get outside of the top 4 teams, top 5 teams, because everyone's trying to find a winning solution. And to me, it doesn't make sense. You don't find a winning solution. If you do, you're pretty much striking lottery, you build it. Our team was built off talent and friendship. And while there are some times where personalities clash, it doesn't mean we don't have the same goal. It doesn't mean that we respect each other or don't respect each other. And it doesn't mean that we're going to make a change. It just means that personalities will clash at some point. So a lot of the people who are having problems with constant roster changes, or the people who are instigating constant roster changes, need to understand that it's not the names that you have on your team. It's the mindset, the work ethic, and what goes into it. So some roster changes, yes, they're warranted. There are players who just don't match what a team needs or don't fulfill their role. But the people out there who are making roster changes just for the sake of roster changes, stop. Because the honeymoon phase that you're going into when you make a roster change and everything seems to be working well, and yes, this roster change was so justified, is what is kind of the placebo that makes you think that the next roster change is going to be equally as successful. When realistically, you're setting yourself back. You're going to have to redevelop strategies, relearn chemistry, and figure out how you guys want to play the game as a team and as a unit. I mean, if you want to keep making it easier for us, by all means, go for it. We'll keep enjoying that. But the teams who want to be competitive, stop making roster change your first choice and worry about maybe fixing what you have. Jason says, I think the biggest problem for AM players is finding scrims that actually help the team get better. But many semi-pros or even top AM players ego upcoming players. I saw the YouTube video you had on this, but I had a question. How could the community fix this problem? I'm going to give you guys some insight. Coming from being the coach of the #1 team in the game, undisputably at this point, there is a point to egoing certain scrimmages. And the reason for that is the scrimmages that my team takes have to be mutually beneficial, meaning that if I schedule a scrim against your team has to put up enough of a fight that I feel like we learn and develop from it. That's the point of a scrimmage, is to develop your gameplay. It's not to win, it's not to see how badly you can beat a team, it's to learn and develop. Learn and to develop. Speaking is tough. If your team can't put up enough of a fight so that we do that, then your team is not worthwhile scrimming. So yes, there are moments where there are certain teams and certain players who could upset a team in a scrim and be super excited about it. And yes, you beat Echo Fox, or you beat OpTic, or you beat Ghost, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be consistent unless your team's at a certain level. And your team kind of has to earn that respect from the top teams. They're going, okay, this team is good. They're playing well against other teams. Maybe we should give them a try. And realistically, we've done that to teams. We've given teams a chance to scrim against us. And if we completely poop on them, then we're not going to scrim them again until maybe further down the line they've kind of reproven themselves. But realistically, we need to get the best practice we can to maintain our position. So if your team isn't cutting that, we're not going to schedule versus you. So that probably applies into the mindsets of certain other teams, especially top AM teams or lower tier pro teams. But realistically, if you prove yourself and your team's good enough, you'll get the chance to scrim the top players. It's just a matter of showing up when it matters. If your team is amazing in scrims, but you get first rounded in the 2K and then wonder why you can't scrim lower tier pro teams, you had your chance to prove yourself and you didn't. Think about Vex from early Gears of War 4 when Zerpting was making a name for himself. And Avexes was on that roster as well, I believe. They started just steamrolling 2Ks and putting up a fight. And that made people go, okay, maybe this team is worth scrimming. I mean, I remember the night where I said, hey, this team is, you know, I can't get anyone else. This team is available. You guys want to try it? And we had a discussion about whether or not it was worthwhile scrimming them, and we scrimmed them. And they were a good team to scrimmage because they played the game a little bit differently and they taught us things. So they became a valuable scrim partner. If your team doesn't do that, it's not worthwhile. Diamante says, the fact that I'm not taken seriously because I'm a girl. Unfortunately, that's kind of the culture that we have in esports right now, where girls are just not given the right credit that they deserve. There's no biological or scientific reasoning for why girls are not as good as guys, and in a lot of cases, girls are just as good, if not better, than guys. So it's more of a culture thing than it is any other reason. You're gonna have to work extra hard to fight through that, unfortunately, and that's just kind of the reality of it is. But showing that extra grit and staying tough through it will not only develop you and your character, but it'll also make you appreciate more what you accomplish. So don't give up, stick to it, and ignore the assholes in the community. Crazy Train says, getting into the free agent pool at Gears events. Roster Mania seems to be the only way I've seen other than having a sponsored and funded org. So getting into the free agent pool is something as simple as tweeting out that you're a free agent. I mean, technically that puts you in the free agent pool. If you're looking to be recruited, there's the Esports Gears Discord that has a recruitment section / free agency section that you can post in and hopefully find some tryouts for some other amateur teams. Last question I'm going to answer this video is from Sick Evil Squad, who asks, how do you always keep your team in focus while having fun? This is a question I actually get asked a lot, which is why I'm going to end this video with it. Our team is... we're very playful when we're winning, and when we start losing, we get very serious and sometimes even tilt a little bit. But we know, and everybody on the team knows individually, but we know as a unit that if we're having fun and if we're playing our game, we're not only going to enjoy ourselves, but we're going to win and we're going to be successful. So one of my goals, and everybody on the team does this, we remind each other that our goal is to play our game. Our goal is to not fall into traps that other team lay or play to other teams' play styles if they try to control the pace. We try to keep the pace at our pace. And by doing so, we find success and we find fun. So it's something that's kind of hard to develop in an amateur team or teach. But realistically, you have to remember that a loss isn't the end of the world, that everybody has the same goal, and that by working together and just enjoying yourselves and working towards improving, that's going to be how you find success. Alright guys, so that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry if I didn't get a chance to answer your questions. It's just, I actually got a surprising amount of replies to it. I think like 50 something. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if you found any of these questions helpful. And if you liked the video or if you have any recommendations, because I'd like to do more like this, just it's kind of a different take on an AMA or a Q&A. So let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe for when I do upload. I appreciate the support, guys, and I will see you all in the next video.